That's a life-changing moment. She looked at me and said, son, I want you to be a better man. Whatever you do, don't touch the podium. As soon as you do that, you're going to be leaning on it. You're going to be shaking that podium, and you will be doing all sorts of things on the podium. So what you do is you keep a comfortable distance between you and the podium. You can keep your notes on it, but you can use your hands to gesture. Don't rest your hands on the podium. So keep a distance, and you can gesture, use body language as you want from a little distance from the podium.
So cool, very simple, things. In fact, speaking actually is a very, very simple and very natural skill. Unfortunately, we have complicated it quite a bit. Actually, the more you're natural, like last time, Varalakshmi, we commented, when you were talking about, your mother and etc. The more you're natural, the more you can speak better. The more you're artificial, as we have the saying, as inside, so outside. The more there is a disparity between what is inside and what is outside, the problem starts. So that's why the first session which I mentioned, naturalness, flexibility, vulnerability, and authenticity. This is the flow. We need to be truthful in what we're saying. Show a sense of vulnerability, not a show of arrogance or pride. Naturalness, in our behavior and in the way we talk. So, in fact, I never, planned these words, as we started the session today. It's just flowing naturally, and it shows. If I had done some, planning and created a big, right? We should be natural. We should be artificial. We should be, authentic. It doesn't show. It just doesn't show. You should flow in naturally. Never have something which is. Well, we have a structure in place, but right when you're starting to speak, you should let the present moment guide it. Never ever think back to, okay, so this is very critical, and we'll be practicing this today. So let's say actually you have planned a particular speech, which is fine. Let's say you have to give a talk of 5 minutes in your school, college, or wherever you're giving, and you write down a full page, etc., and you memorize it, And I've heard this even from very experienced speakers. I've gone through 30 projects in Toastmasters and various other places. Whatever you write and what comes on the stage, there's always a 20% variance. So I'll repeat that. Whatever you have memorized and write and what comes out at the final moment, there's always a variance. And if there's no variance, it means that you are just mugging up and putting it out. Because why is the variance? Because the audience changes you. As you speak to the audience, as you connect to the eyes of the audience, they actually change a little bit of what you're going to say. So you may say, I may talk about my best vacation to 3 of you in some manner. If I get another audience of 10 other people, I may put it in a little different manner. And if I get another audience of another 5 people, I may change it because the audience changes you. You should allow that naturalness. You should allow the audience to change you and you kind of connect to it. So let me go back to some topics. So we're going to, where is my file? Oops, sorry, wrong file. Just a minute, right file. What is this? Yeah, 1 minute. Okay. So what you want to do is pick a topic from any of these, I'll repeat the topics. So something new I want to learn. What makes me laugh? Funny moment in my life. What scares me the most? A favorite memory from my past. You may have done it before, so you can drop it. My happiest childhood memory. My most prized possession and my greatest skill. And my biggest fear. So just choose any one topic, think over it, get an introduction, body, conclusion, and plan it out. If you want to take notes, make a structure, write down a few points and all. And this time I'm going to speak proper for 2 minutes. It should have a flow in talk. It should engage us. Now, these topics are such that it's not one which cannot be engaged. So, what makes me laugh? You have to explain it, what makes you laugh. So, my sister makes me laugh, full stop. That's not the way. So, if my sister makes you laugh, why does she make you laugh? What are the actions that she does to make you laugh, Or, Soumya may say, my brother makes me laugh. I'm just giving an example, So, that's not, it's not a one sentence thing. It's 2 minutes, What is it exactly? What are the things, that make you laugh, etc. And, or it could be whatever, what scares you the most, you know, dogs scare me the most, or whatever it is. And the reasons, examples, 5 years ago, I went through this episode. 10 years ago, I went through this A, B, C, D, E. Go scare me the most, and, when I was in this particular room. So, for example, whatever, my most prized possession. So whatever it is, if you're saying, no, comb is a most prized possession, but what is it? Where did it come from? Who gave it to you? Why is it most prized? What are the emotional values attached to it? Try to create meat, if you may call it. Although all of us are vegetarians, I'm saying meat is, try to put some, juice and, strength into each of these topics. So take a couple of minutes to think over, and whenever you're ready, hit the red buzzer, and we'll start off. Shall we start? If anybody is ready. Oh, 2 minutes. Okay, fine. Yes. So, who wants to go first? Soumya, you ready? Cool. You're on. I've unmuted you.
Hello, everyone. I've chosen the topic something new that I want to learn. It is said that learning begins from the cradle and it ends on the grave. So we all as human beings have the innate tendency to learn something new each and every day in our lives. If you ask me, there are a lot of things that I will be happy to learn. One of them is learning how to play a guitar. I really love music. It's really soothing and it calms me down whenever I'm under stress. Although there are several musical instruments that you can find, but guitar is one of my favorite. It really fascinates me whenever I see somebody playing it. I find the sound of the guitar so delightful and so soothing that any song will be adorned just by the use of the guitar. So I just wanted to say that music really helps us heal. And in my case, guitar heals better. So just wanted to ask you, what's your favorite musical instrument? Thank you.
Wow. No, very good. I think it was, let me see, managed participants. Yeah. So, how did you all feel, Vara, Sundari?
It was nice. Many new words.
Yeah. Many new words. Correct, correct. And it was, conclusion also was good. Now she's very conscious of the conclusion, so which is extremely good, So,
I really worked upon it. The conclusion, I didn't want to say that. So I just want to conclude like that. Don't want to
correct,
say.
correct. Awesome. Really awesome. Very good. In between, I saw you were pausing, and it was not a natural pause. I know it was. You were kind of. There were breaks in between.
Yes.
Again, the same thing. Speaking is faster than thought. So because you're trying to think of what to say next. But otherwise, I think the flow was great. You had an introduction, a body, a conclusion. It was kind of awesome. So good. We'll go to the next. You want to go ahead, Sundari?
Yeah.
Yes, go for it.
So the topic I chose is a funny moment in my life. So this incident happened like around 8 to 9 years ago. I was like 3 to 4 years. So there was this friend of mine who was my neighbor. So both of us used to be like really good friends. Both of us used to play in each other's house. We used to run around the corridors. To have a lot of fun at that time. Then there was this one day where he had to shift his house to another place that was really far away. So at that time, he came and hid in our house because he didn't want his parents to get to know about it. He came, hid in his house without his parents getting to know, and we didn't know about that. He hid in the room holding up on a pillar. He sat there crying like anything. Then his parents came and inquired about him. We said that he was in the room, but then he didn't want to come. He sat down crying. He started to cry so loudly that even the people above us came and inquired what happened. So both of us were like really good friends. So at the end, his parents had to drag him to the doorstep and tell him that we have to go. This is the time where we have to shift to another place that's really far. So I guess everyone has their own good friends, happy memories. So this is one of mine.
Oh, cool. Yes. How was it, Soumya and Vara?
I find it very, very good. It was really nice.
And you notice how the conclusion makes a proper impact, right, on the whole speech. Had she not said that last line, she said that while a lot of people have a lot of funny moments in their life, this was mine, and I'd like to share. It's such a beautiful conclusion that it kind of made a huge difference. Very good. So now, actually, what you can do is now that you've crossed the stage of IVC, I think you're practicing the last two sessions. Now, what you can really do is try to get a little more adjectives, visual adjectives.
Okay.
deep into the game. Try to get some adjectives which make the person visualize what you're trying to say. It could be, this particular, boy who's crying or whatever, brother who's crying, etc. So how is he crying? What mode is it? Crying out loud, or what are the feeling you are getting? So all those things, when you slowly get into it, the words will come out. As you're speaking, you should just get in the mode. You have to actually be in that moment. And I was seeing this boy crying out loud in bawling out in public, etc. Whatever. So whatever it is. So you have to just get the flow of the words in and start putting visual images. And he was lying down on the couch. So now we are trying to visualize a couch or whatever in a small room, etc. So you're trying to get visuals around it, time of the day and all. So this is the time now you can try to get more substance, strong substance. But good, I think you're doing really well. And hi Pratik, you joined. How are you?
Yes, sir, I've joined. I'm fine.
Good, good, good. So you can, by time Varalakshmi is doing her talk, you can choose any of these and you have to give a speech. Okay?
Okay.
So Varalakshmi, you're on.
Yes. So I took the topic, what is my favorite, my happiest childhood memory. Uh, Actually, my whole childhood was very nice and happy. But the most happiest one was that every Sunday, my parents used to go for meditation center. So even I and my sister will go with them. And then we had a children's center. Some of the volunteers and other children were also there. uh, as soon as we entered, we went there early morning. As soon as we entered there, we used to take out the carpets and spread it over. We first prayed, sung songs, and then after all the main activities were done, we all the children were grouped into two. They were 0 to 7 years and 7 to 13. The 0 to 7 people had some craft work, while we had some knowledge building stuff. And then it was really nice. We called it as children's center. There was one lady called Jacqueline ma'am. She was also very motivating, very entertaining. Um, some of my friends, when they felt the children's center was boring, so they asked us if we could have gone somewhere else to play instead of going to the children's center. But I actually loved children's center and playing outside. And we had summer camps, sleepovers, and all. I enjoyed a lot. This was the main thing in my childhood. Um, we had to perform in some occasions like Diwali and all. So every day when I came back from school, we used to go for practice so that we can perform on that day. After we ate breakfast. Every Sunday we had Indian sambar because my childhood was in Chennai, and there it is a.
Oops, we lost her. Just a minute. She should, yeah, she's coming back in. Yes, we heard you till you had your idli and sambar.
And then after that, we and my other friends played in the auditorium. It was 3 floored, and after that we used to go to children park to play too in the sand and all. And then we collected red seeds and other stuff which were found in the ground, and then we went back home. So every Sunday we would end up by getting a new Sunday, or we were waiting for the next Sunday. So this is how this was my happiest childhood memory.
Wow. Good, 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 good. Very good. So let's take Soumya and Pratik and Sundari. How did you enjoy the speech?
Yeah, I liked it quite a
I
lot.
liked it.
It was a bit unclear due to the network issues, but from what I heard, it was nice.
Very good. Sundari?
So you can actually like actually imagine what's happening right there.
Exactly. In fact, I was just going to add to that, Sundari. What Varalakshmi did was, she took us on a visual journey. We could actually visualize, a lady called Jacqueline playing with red stones, whatever it is, we could kind of get
Yes.
into that, and that's somehow something that we could build. We also had a decent conclusions. I think all of you are working on a conclusions. So you kind of somehow nailed one last sentence in place to ensure that, you close the thing, which is good. You can make it more stronger, the conclusion. In between, I noticed you were also giving a lot of gaps in your speech, putting the ahs and ums. That's something that you can work on to reduce. But otherwise, I think, you're doing a great job. We'll go to Pratik. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I'd like to apologize for being late because I have an online class going on. And secondly, the topic I've chosen is
Hey, Pratik, you are muted. Unmute yourself. Yeah.
yeah. Am I audible? Yeah. Okay. So something I'd like to learn is dancing. Actually, if there's one thing I cannot do, it's dancing. I can sing. I'm a bit athletic. I can study a bit, but dancing is one thing that I just cannot do. So let me take you through why I wanted to learn dancing. When we were little kids in school, we used to participate in annual functions. In those annual functions, our teachers used to coach us into various dance steps and made us dance. It was all good and fine until we attended some birthday parties or any family functions where if I used to dance, it would look like a ghost in a human body trying to move. So that was the part where I felt embarrassed about my dancing. And since then I wanted to learn how to dance, not because I'm passionate about dancing or not because this is something I want to learn, but just because I'm curious if I can dance or not. It's a skill that I want to learn just to show just to know if I can do it or not. So that's something that I'd like to learn. If there's one thing I'd like to learn in my life.
Wow. Good, 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 good. Yes, Soumya, Sundari, dancing, how is like it?
So it's like the same situation of mine.
Okay. Can you explain what is the same situation?
Yeah, even I used to not know how to dance, and then
Oh,
I got embarrassed of myself. Then I started to learn dance.
okay. Cool, cool. And on the speech, Varalakshmi, how did you enjoy it?
Yes, it was nice.
Good. Soumya?
I think it was more funny. I found it funnier
Yeah.
than the way he was elaborating everything about dancing.
Bit of a good humor into it. And actually, next week I'm going to do humorous speeches also. So the one thing, Pratik, it was great. I think you put a little bit of humor, so you attracted the audience, and you started off well. That you know a lot of things like athletics and singing, but not dancing. And you brought it all up. The conclusion, you just put it kind of a little loose. It should have
Yeah,
been
yeah,
more strong.
yeah.
The conclusion should be thunderous. That's why they call it a wonderful introduction, a good body, and finally a thunderous conclusion. Conclusion is, in fact, in all your four speeches, I think Varalakshmi had a good conclusion. I don't remember what she said in this speech, but I remember it stuck to me. Something, very, it has to be like a jolt, you have to really feel as though the whole thing has, come to an end. It has to be
Mhm.
strong, It should not be kind of left loose, like the plane skidding in the tarmac and kind of
Mhm.
somehow, I've got you, alive, kind of. It
Yeah.
should be a real firm, hit. So conclusion is something all of you need to keep on working. It has to be really, really strong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a speech with you all. It's a very famous speech. Uh, you all must have heard it. this time you're going to hear it from 2 or 3 viewpoints. One is introduction, body, conclusion. Second is structure. The third is the kind of words he uses, visuals, he uses in giving the speech. A very famous person and very old speech. You must have seen it in WhatsApp here and there. But this time I've actually done it with subtitles. You're going to hear this and you're going to analyze, what is introduction, what is the body, what is the conclusion, visual adjectives. The way he brings in visual adjectives is amazing. It's a read out speech. So that's one thing. But in between, he keeps looking up. So just analyze that even in a read out speech, how can you connect to the audience? So that's the next one. So I'm just going to share the speech as we talk. Just a minute. So do you see something on the screen? Yeah?
Thank you. I'm honored to be with you today for your commencement from one of the finest universities in the world. Truth be told, I never graduated from college, and this is the closest I've ever gotten to a college graduation. Today, I want to tell you 3 stories from my life. That's it. No big deal. Just 3 stories. The first.
So this is the introduction. If you notice, the first 30 seconds that he's done is the introduction, where he's told that, I never got close to a college graduation, and this is the closest I've got to it. And I'm going to tell you 3 stories. Now, all of you are interested to know what the 3 stories is. And now you see each way he's going to introduce the 3 stories.
The first story is about connecting the dots. I dropped out of Reed College after the first 6 months, but then stayed around as a drop-in for another 18 months or so before I really quit. So why did I drop out? It started before I was born. My biological mother was a young, unwed graduate student, and she decided to put me up for adoption. She felt very strongly that I should be adopted by college graduates, so everything was all set for me to be adopted at birth by a lawyer and his wife. Except that when I popped out, they decided at the last minute that they really wanted a girl. So my parents, who were on a waiting list, got a call in the middle of the night asking, "We've got an unexpected baby boy. Do you want him?" They said, "Of course." My biological mother found out later that my mother had never graduated from college and that my father had never graduated from high school. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. She only relented a few months later when my parents promised that I would go to college. This was the start in my life. And 17 years later, I did go to college. But I naively chose a college that was almost as expensive as Stanford. And all of my working class parents' savings were being spent on my college tuition. After 6 months, I couldn't see the value in it. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life and no idea how college was going to help me figure it out. And here I was, spending all the money my parents had saved their entire life. So I decided to drop out and trust that it would all work out okay. It was pretty scary at the time, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. The minute I dropped out, I could stop taking the required classes that didn't interest me and begin dropping in on the ones that looked far more interesting. It wasn't all romantic. I didn't have a dorm room, so I slept on the floor in friends' rooms. I returned Coke bottles for the 5-cent deposits to buy food with. And I would walk the 7 miles across town every Sunday night to get one good meal a week at the Hare Krishna temple. I loved it. And much of what I stumbled into by following my curiosity and intuition turned out to be priceless later on. Let me give you one example. Reed College at that time offered perhaps the best calligraphy instruction in the country. Throughout the campus, every poster, every label on every drawer was beautifully hand calligraphed. Because I had dropped out and didn't have to take the normal classes, I decided to take a calligraphy class to learn how to do this. I learned about serif and sans serif typefaces, about varying the amount of space between different letter combinations, about what makes great typography great. It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in a way that science can't capture, and I found it fascinating.
What's the words, that he uses? He's using a lot of descriptive words, historical, artistic, subtle, the way he captures it. It's all in threes, if you notice, he has his penchant for threes, and he'll put it in threes to get a more stronger fix on the words.
None of this had even a hope of any practical application in my life. But 10 years later, when we were designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me. And we designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I had never dropped in on that single course in college, the Mac would have never had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts. And since Windows just copied the Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them. If I had never dropped out, I would have never dropped in on that calligraphy class, and personal computers might not have the wonderful typography that they do. Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever, because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path, and that will make all the difference. My second story is about love and loss. I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. Woz and I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple had grown from just the two of us in a garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We just released our finest creation, the Macintosh, a year earlier, and I just turned 30. And then I got fired. How can you get fired from a company you started? Well, as Apple grew, we hired someone who I thought was very talented to run the company with me. And for the first year or so, things went well. But then our visions of the future began to diverge, and eventually we had a falling out. When we did, our board of directors sided with him. And so at 30, I was out, and very publicly out. What had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone, and it was devastating. I really didn't know what to do for a few months. I felt that I had let the previous generation of entrepreneurs down, that I had dropped the baton as it was being passed to me. I met with David Packard and Bob Noyce and tried to apologize for screwing up so badly. I was a very public failure, and I even thought about running away from the valley. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did. The turn of events at Apple had not changed that one bit. I'd been rejected, but I was still in love. And so I decided to start over. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. During the next 5 years, I started a company named Next, another company named Pixar, and fell in love with an amazing woman who would become my wife. Pixar went on to create the world's first computer animated feature film, Toy Story, and is now the most successful animation studio in the world. In a remarkable turn of events, Apple bought Next, and I returned to Apple, and the technology we developed at Next is at the heart of Apple's current renaissance. and Lorene and I have a wonderful family together. I'm pretty sure none of this would have happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it. My third story is about death. When I was 17, I read a quote that went something like, "If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." It made an impression on me, and since then, for the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. I had a scan at 7:30 in the morning, and it clearly showed a tumor on my pancreas. I didn't even know what a pancreas was. The doctors told me this was almost certainly a type of cancer that is incurable, and that I should expect to live no longer than 3 to 6 months. My doctor advised me to go home and get my affairs in order, which is doctor's code for prepare to die. It means to try and tell your kids everything you thought you'd have the next 10 years to tell them in just a few months. It means to make sure everything is buttoned up so that it will be as easy as possible for your family. It means to say your goodbyes. I lived with that diagnosis all day. Later that evening, I had a biopsy where they stuck an endoscope down my throat, through my stomach and into my intestines, put a needle into my pancreas and got a few cells from the tumor. I was sedated, but my wife, who was there, told me that when they viewed the cells under a microscope, the doctors started crying because it turned out to be a very rare form of pancreatic cancer that is curable with surgery. I had the surgery, and thankfully, I'm fine now. This was the closest I've been to facing death, and I hope it's the closest I get for a few more decades. Having lived through it, I can now say this to you with a bit more certainty than when death was a useful but purely intellectual concept. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet, death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is you. But someday, not too long from now, you will gradually become the old and be cleared away. Sorry to be so dramatic, but it's quite true. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. When I was young, there was an amazing publication called the Whole Earth Catalog, which was one of the Bibles of my generation.
So now this is the conclusion. He's done the introduction, the body, structure, 3 points, and this is the conclusion.
It was created by a fellow named Stuart Brand, not far from here in Menlo Park, and he brought it to life with his poetic touch. This was in the late 60s, before personal computers and desktop publishing, So it was all made with typewriters, scissors, and Polaroid cameras. It was sort of like Google in paperback form 35 years before Google came along. It was idealistic, overflowing with neat tools and great notions. Stuart and his team put out several issues of the Whole Earth catalog. And then, when it had run its course, they put out a final issue. It was the mid-1970s, and I was your age. On the back cover of their final issue was a photograph of an early morning country road, the kind you might find yourself hitchhiking on if you were so adventurous. Beneath it were the words, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." It was their farewell message as they signed off. Stay hungry, stay foolish. And I've always wished that for myself. And now, as you graduate to begin anew, I wish that for you. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you all very much.
So, as I said, this is a classic speech. You must have seen it. It's been roaming around in WhatsApp here and there many times, but the flow is amazing. You know, there's, of course, I think somebody's helped him or he's done it himself. If he's structured, the words he's used, visuals, and the entire emotions, you know, he's captured into it, humor, everything, you know, he's done into one. So, very classic speech. And so, how do you like it? Was it good talk? Anything new that you learned in that speech?
I liked it, especially in the introduction. Also, he told us that there are the three stories that I wanted to tell you. So we are prepared, like, okay, there are three stories that are used to come up, and we are ready to hear it.
Correct.
And then he proceeded. So I really liked the way he narrated the whole thing, and it makes an image in our mind. So
Yes,
it
yes,
was really nice.
correct. So good. Anybody else wants to say something before we go to the?
I liked how he handled him getting fired from his own company. You know, anybody would be devastated by that. You know,
I know.
people even take really suicidal steps, but he took it as a positive chance to prove himself.
Amazing.
So that's something we should learn
Very
from.
powerful. Yeah, yeah. Very powerful story. Each story more powerful than the next. Correct. So what we'll do is, I'm again going to share the screen. You're going to make one final presentation. I mean, one final talk. Choose any other topic apart from what you've chosen earlier, and now create another compelling speech. Really good. It has to be compelling. It has to, of course, you've crossed the IBC stage and all. All that is a given. Flow is a given, but now you have to get into visuals, get into, you know, putting the substance, the juice, the vegetables, the meat, properly into the food. So pick up anything. Topics are very simple, but it's important to get the audience attraction around it. So take a couple of minutes. We'll end with this final thing. So take a couple of minutes, think of it, what you can speak on. Then we'll have an outflow, and then we can summarize. Yeah. So are we ready or 2 minutes? Yes, so we can begin. We'll do one round now, and in the next 2 3 days, you can again practice more if you want to make it more impactful. So, who wants to start, Pratik? Yeah, you're on.
Hello, everybody.
Yes.
I'm back again. So, sir asked me to choose a topic, and I hope you all have chosen one as well. The topic I have chosen is what makes me laugh. But trust me, I'll cover all the topics that are on your screen right now, that were on your screen right now. So now coming back to the thing that makes me laugh the most, it's happiness. It's actually really funny to say this because happiness goes synonymous with laughter. But if we think about it, You can only laugh when you're happy. If there's a time when you are sad, nothing will make you laugh. But if you're happy, even the slightest of things will make you grin. I remember an instant which made me realize this is when I was young, our whole family used to watch a show, a comedy show. It was called Comedy Circus. We used to watch it during the evening. One day, as I was bicycling outside our house, I fell down and I had bruises all over my knee. When my mother brought me in, there was this TV show on the television, and what else? The Comedy Circus. And trust me, none of the jokes that were being told in the show made me even chuckle. So my favorite show, which used to make me laugh so much, at that point of time, it didn't even make me chuckle because I was sad, because I was in pain, and that made me realize that to be able to laugh, you have to be happy, you know. And that's something that I still feel. Whenever I feel sad, whenever I feel down, I just want to change my mind. I just want to divert my mind into something that would make me laugh, that would make me happy. Because sadness is something we don't want in life. We always want to be happy, and if we are not happy, we'll never be able to laugh. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good one. Yeah, really good. Yes. Did you enjoy it, Vara, Sundari? Any thoughts, comments?
So he structured up the whole thing very neatly and very perfect.
He used few new words
Like?
like chuckle.
Grin.
Grin. Okay. Good. Okay. Soumya?
I too liked it. Yes, I agree with Vara Lakshmi that he used quite new words in between. And the way he narrated everything, I like the way he proceeded from like introduction, body to the conclusion.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, in fact, it was a very good one. And he connected well with this particular thought of happiness, being the cause of laughter and with the story, the reason why it was. So, I think initially so the introduction was such to the audience in. That's important. There's something unique which got us thinking, why is this man talking happiness as a source? So then he explained that the body was a structure of, why he felt it, the story of, comedy circus and all that. So he took us into the visual world of his life. That was very good in the childhood, what happened. And then, of course, concluded. Actually, he concluded, but he didn't know he was concluded. So he concluded and then wondered for a second or two and then said, thank you. Okay. The only thing, once you conclude, it has to kind of be, yes, it's possible. So sort of hesitation, you concluded, and at some point of time, okay, thank you, kind of, So that was the only thing, but otherwise, flow was amazing. I think you're doing really well. And we go on to the next speaker. Who should it be? Sundari? Yeah, you're ready.
Yeah, so if I start off, I'm good in athletics. I've gone to many tournaments and I still want to learn further. So the topic I've got is what I would like to learn. So there's no limit to learn, and you can learn even though you think that you're the best. There is something to learn. You're not good in everything. So when you're racing and when you watch a race, the people who run and they try cheering, the people who start cheering, and then when you're near the finishing line and you have a glimpse of the trophies, it's a really good part when you start racing. So I would say learning is like that never stops. You can learn all the time, and learning never ends. There's no limit for it. Even I've heard from my parents and many people that I would like to learn this, but then they don't have that much time. As you grow, your time decreases. So I would say that learning, you have to learn new things, because one day when you go for an office interview, they would ask what you're good at. So you'll have nothing in your mind except to say that I'm good in studies.
Good, good, good. Yes, what are your thoughts, Soumya and others?
I really
The
like the flow.
Okay,
It
so
didn't
good.
even stutter a bit. So the flow was really, really nice.
Yeah, good. Yes,
I like the conclusion.
yes,
It was nice.
correct.
That
Emotion into the conclusion, correct. Yeah, when you go for a job, they will not. Yeah, okay, good. Soumya?
I like the last line. The
Yeah,
way she said, yeah, the jaw one. I like that.
correct. It kind of stuck to us. Yeah, I think you're getting the conclusions right. Uh, so
Yes.
the conclusion is something which sticks to the audience, and I think that's what she nailed on. Of course, the speech in somewhere in between we lost it because of the conclusion. We ignored the fact that there was a bit of haziness, so the body was a little bit unstructured. There was not very good structure in it, but because it landed well, people forgot how bad the flight was. So that's fine, no problem. So it again shows the importance of conclusions. The body should have been a little more structured. There was a little bit of structured in that, but otherwise great. I think it was a awesome speech, and we'll go on to Varalakshmi. Yeah.
so I choose the topic my greatest skill. My dad every time says that every year you have to learn some special skill so that by the time you end up your life you'll have many skills you learn. So one of mine was dancing. I was a classical dancer. I went to dance class in my 7th, 8th, and 9th grades. Every day after I returned from school at 4 o'clock, I studied and finished my daily activities by 7 so that I got ready to my dance class. We had a specific uniform, that is a red gown with a yellow pajama. And me and my sister went to dance class through cycle. We had a bottle of water, and as soon as we entered to the dance class, we waited for the before batch to get completed. Meanwhile, we would practice or exercise ourselves. And I was given the responsibility of arranging chairs for parents who come to the dance class to see dance. Um, and then we first started our dance class with some slokas and namaskara, and after that we had some mechanical forms of dance like tattadav and nattadav. I don't know whether you have the knowledge about it. Our sir was really strict when we came to the songs. He would mostly specify on bhavana how you have to dance, the intention of your dance. If we didn't do it properly, he would really get furious and scold us. But that was nice uh, memory. And after our dance class, our dad used to come to pick us up from when he gets returned to his office. And then our sir sees our dad coming, so he asks us to leave. This was my greatest skill my greatest skill was dancing. I enjoyed dancing. I will learn more about it in the future.
Good, 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 good. Yes, friends, how was it?
It was nice.
Okay.
It was good.
Soumya?
I liked it.
It was very good dancing and gave details on dancing, etc. Conclusion could have been a little more stronger. You hesitated towards the end and you just somehow said, okay, so dancing, I love dancing and I'd like to learn dancing in the future. But it should have been a little more, firm and a little more, confident at the end. So otherwise, I think you're all getting it right. At least we know that we need to conclude. So that's a big learning in 2 sessions. So we'll go on to Soumya. Are we ready?
Okay, so I just want to share the funny moment in my life. Life is actually full of memories. The whole journey has numerous lessons, and each one teaches us something new. and makes us different from what we were a day before. So happiness and sorrow, basically, they are two strong emotions which are inseparable and are like two sides of the same coin. And as I've already mentioned, that life is the amalgamation of memories. And just wanted to share a small funny incident of my life. It was back in 2011 or 12, I don't remember exactly. And my mom and dad, they went to the ashram, and I and my brother, we were at home, and I just wanted to call her up and ask something to what to make for the lunch as they are about to come. So I called her and she said hello, and I started speaking without realizing anything, and I just asked, I narrated the whole incident, what I did from the morning, and this and that and this I've prepared dal and I've done this, and my brother has teased me and he said that, and I fought with him. After like 10-15 minutes, I said, hello mummy, please say something. And I realized that the person on the other end was somebody else, a complete stranger, and it was a cross connection that has happened. Because of that, it, I didn't talk to my mother, and I narrated everything to a stranger whom I didn't know. And I said sorry to him, but he said, no worries, everything will be sorted out with your mom and with your brother, whatever issues you have. And it was so embarrassing for me. I just apologized to him. So, out of all the funny incidents, this was the one that I remember till date. Thank you very much.
Yes. What are your thoughts, comments on Soumya's funny moment?
I like the funny aspect of it. It turned out to be quite a stranger, so it was quite a twist in the story. So that was nice.
Correct. I'm wondering what it is. Yeah, Varalakshmi?
Yeah, it was really very funny.
Correct.
And then the new words she used, and
Okay. What are the new words you came across?
I don't remember, but there were actually many.
Okay, good. Sundari?
Yeah, I like the body structure, the way she structured it. It was really funny. And the end conclusion twisted the whole story.
Correct. And we all were wondering what is the climax because she started off saying it's a funny story. So we all know it's going to be funny. But we were wondering what is the funny part. So she's on the call, she's talking to her mother, maybe her mother's behind her, maybe her mother's bottle. We were all thinking of it, but the climax was like, it kind of blew at least me out of my mind. I think I'm sure nobody expected such a climax. So I think in terms of conclusion, it was really good and overall a good talk. It engaged from the start to the finish. Primarily in terms of creating that, I'll not say doubt, but creating that sense of mystery.
Curiosity.
Yeah, curiosity, mystery. Some sense, what is it all about? How can it be so funny? So I think great. I think that's about it. So I think we really crossed our time. So quick note before we log off, top thing that you take off from the last 75 minutes. Something new that you learned today in the last.
Well, on this funny side, I didn't know Steve Jobs owned Pixar.
Okay. Okay.
But actually, his speech was the one that struck out in this class.
Amazing.
All his three stories were something that really stood out to me.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you, Pratik. Yes, Varalakshmi?
So I learned about how we have to put our body posture. That was the first thing we learned.
Yes.
That analysis of the speech.
Yes.
And then new stuff from the other speech. That how you should lead your life. And as usual, all how to speak, what are my corrections.
Very good. Thank you. Sundari?
Sir, about the second speech, I learned about like the failure are the stepping stones to success. And I did learn a lot of my corrections there about my conclusion, body structure, and all.
Good, you're getting well. Yes. Soumya?
I really like the Steve Jobs speech, and something that I learned today is how to mend my conclusions. That was also previous in the previous session also, and I think I need to focus upon that more. So this is what I'll really work upon. So
Cool. And we keep practicing it as it goes on. If you get your conclusions right, even one-on-one talks with people, if you have to even talk to your parents or talk to your teacher or your friends, introduction, body, conclusion. Even when you're giving interviews or whatever it is, this flow is amazing. And the conclusion is one which nails on the head. So next time we meet, we're going to talk a little more about power of three and various other, visual imagery tricks. So till
I
then,
don't know. I don't know if you noticed or not, but I'm trying really hard not to rock back and forth now since you told
yes,
me the last time.
I notice. Yes.
So that's something I'm thinking of.
Good. So Thursday, 2 o'clock works good to all of you.
I might be late like today because because of the online classes that I am indulged into of my project. So I might be late, but I'll join it.
Okay. We can even make it 2:15 if you want.
No, but I'm not sure about myself. So you keep it 2 p.m. I'll join it whenever I can.
Join it, no problem. Okay, so thank you. Have a great day. Stay safe. Enjoy the holiday and learn something new in the next coming days. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye.
bye.
Bye.